Before emperors ruled Rome, before great armies marched beneath golden eagles, before his name became a symbol of power across continents, there was only a boy. A boy born into a fading noble family in the crowded heart of Rome. The year was 100 BC. Rome was already the most powerful republic in the Mediterranean. Its markets overflowed with goods from distant lands. Its armies conquered new territories every year. Marble temples rose toward the sky, while senators debated the future of nations. And yet, in one noisy district called the Suburra, a child opened his eyes to the world. His name was Gaius Julius Caesar. His family carried an ancient and respected name, claiming descent from Venus herself. But noble blood did not guarantee wealth. The Caesars were respected, not rich. The boy who would one day command nations grew up among ordinary Romans. And from the very beginning, destiny seemed to be watching.
Young Caesar lived between two worlds. On one side stood the proud history of his family. On the other stood the reality of daily life. The streets of the Suburra were crowded and chaotic. Merchants shouted from market stalls. Laborers carried heavy loads through narrow alleys. The smell of bread mixed with smoke and dust. This was not the world of kings. It was the world of ordinary people. And Caesar learned from it. His mother, Aurelia, played a crucial role in shaping his future. Intelligent, disciplined, and respected, she ensured her son received the finest education possible. While other boys chased games and distractions, Caesar studied history, rhetoric, literature, and philosophy. He learned that words could be as powerful as swords. He learned that ideas could move entire nations. Most importantly, he learned to believe in himself. Because deep inside, long before he held power, Caesar carried a dangerous thought. Perhaps he was meant for greatness.
Then tragedy arrived. When Caesar was only 16 years old, his father died unexpectedly. The loss changed everything. In a single moment, the boy became the man of the family. Responsibility settled heavily upon his shoulders. Many young men would have been crushed by such pressure. Caesar was different. Instead of retreating from hardship, he seemed to grow stronger because of it. Ancient writers often describe him as ambitious, but ambition alone does not explain Caesar. There was something else, a quiet determination, an unshakable belief that obstacles existed to be overcome. Even as a teenager, he watched Rome's leaders closely. He studied generals, politicians, orators. He listened to their speeches and observed their decisions. And somewhere within his heart, a question began to grow. If these men could shape history, why couldn't he? The question would guide every major decision he made for the rest of his life.
Rome was powerful, but it was also dangerous. Political rivalries often ended in violence, and one man stood above all others. His name Sulla. A brilliant general, a ruthless dictator, a man whose enemies rarely survived. When Sulla seized control of Rome, fear spread throughout the city. Lists of political enemies appeared. The names written upon them often became death sentences. Unfortunately for Caesar, his family had ties to Sulla's rivals. Worse still, Caesar had married Cornelia, the daughter of an enemy of the regime. Soon an order arrived. Simple, cold, absolute. Divorce your wife. Prove your loyalty. Save yourself. Many men would have obeyed. Caesar refused. He was young, powerless, without an army, without influence. Yet he chose principle over safety. It was one of the bravest decisions of his life, and it nearly got him killed.
Sulla was furious. The young Caesar had openly defied him. Punishment followed quickly. His property was confiscated. His position was stripped away. His inheritance disappeared. Everything he owned vanished. Suddenly, Caesar became a fugitive. He moved secretly from place to place, avoiding capture. Every shadow could hide danger. Every knock at the door could bring soldiers. At one point, illness nearly claimed his life. Yet somehow, he survived. Friends intervened. Influential Romans pleaded for mercy. Eventually, Sulla relented. Legend says the dictator warned his supporters about the young man. In Caesar, he reportedly said, there are many Mariuses. It was a chilling prediction. Even Sulla recognized something extraordinary. Beneath Caesar's calm exterior burned enormous ambition. The dictator saw what others missed. This young fugitive might someday become one of the most dangerous men Rome had ever produced. History would prove him right. After Sulla's influence faded, Caesar chose a different path. Instead of rushing directly into politics, he pursued education. He traveled east to Rhodes, one of the great centers of learning in the ancient world. There he studied rhetoric under famous teachers. In Rome, public speaking was not merely a skill, it was a weapon. A powerful speech could win elections, influence crowds, shape history. Caesar understood this. He trained tirelessly, hour after hour, day after day. He practiced speaking with clarity, confidence, and persuasion. The young Roman was preparing for a future few could yet imagine. But fate had another lesson waiting, one that would reveal his extraordinary personality to the world. The lesson would come far from Rome, far from classrooms, far from safety. It would arrive in the form of pirates sailing across the Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean was beautiful, but it was also dangerous. Pirates controlled many sea routes and preyed upon travelers. While sailing toward Rhodes, Caesar's ship encountered exactly such men. Armed, experienced, merciless. They captured him. The young nobleman suddenly found himself a prisoner. The pirates demanded a ransom, 20 talents of silver, an enormous amount of money.
Most captives would have begged, panicked, feared for their lives. Caesar did something completely unexpected. He laughed. Then he insulted the pirates. 20 talents? Too little. Far too little. They clearly did not understand who he was. He suggested they demand 50 instead. The pirates stared in disbelief. Then they laughed with him. It seemed absurd, ridiculous. Yet Caesar spoke with such confidence that even his captors were amused. The strange relationship that followed would become one of the most famous stories of ancient history.
Days turned into weeks. Caesar remained a prisoner. Yet he behaved less like a captive and more like a guest. He joined conversations, played games, read poetry aloud, delivered speeches. When the pirates failed to appreciate his performances, he called them uncultured barbarians. Remarkably, they tolerated it. Some even grew fond of him. But beneath the humor lay something darker. Again and again, Caesar made a promise. One day, he would be free. And when that happened, he would return. He would capture them. And he would have them crucified. The pirates laughed every time. Surely it was a joke. Surely no prisoner would speak so boldly. But Caesar was not joking. He rarely made promises he did not intend to keep. And soon the moment of truth would arrive. Because the ransom money was finally on its way.
After 38 days, Caesar was released. Freedom at last. Most people would have celebrated. Most people would have gone home. Caesar immediately began planning revenge. He gathered ships, recruited men, organized a small fleet. Then he sailed back into the Mediterranean, searching, hunting, determined. The pirates never expected him to return, yet return he did. He found them, captured them, and carried out the punishment he had promised from the very beginning. Ancient sources tell us the pirates were crucified, exactly as Caesar had warned. The story spread rapidly throughout Rome. People were fascinated. Who was this young nobleman? Who joked with pirates while in chains? Who calmly promised vengeance? And who actually delivered it? The answer was becoming clear. Julius Caesar was not an ordinary Roman. He possessed something rare. A combination of courage, confidence, intelligence, and relentless determination. The qualities of a future legend.
When Caesar returned to Rome, he was no longer an unknown young aristocrat. People had heard the stories, the pirates, the courage, the revenge. His reputation was growing. Now he turned his attention toward politics. Rome operated through a complex ladder of offices and responsibilities. Every ambitious man dreamed of climbing it. Caesar intended to reach the very top. He spoke brilliantly, connected with ordinary citizens, remembered names, listened carefully. He understood people. More importantly, he understood power. Public games were expensive. Festivals cost money. Political campaigns required enormous resources. Caesar borrowed heavily. Some thought he was reckless. Others thought he was brilliant. The crowds loved him. And as the cheers grew louder, one thing became increasingly clear. The young man from the streets of the Suburra was beginning his ascent. Soon he would leave Rome behind,
and the greatest chapter of his life would begin in the wild lands of Gaul.
That would change the course of human history forever. In the next chapter, you'll witness how Julius Caesar transformed from an ambitious politician into the most feared and celebrated general Rome had ever seen. So if you don't want to miss the next part of this epic journey, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the greatest victories, the greatest betrayals, and the most dangerous decision of Caesar's life are still to come. And as always, may history never be forgotten.